Hey there, my name is Heidi and I recruit product managers. We had a really neat call with one of our clients on Friday. It was kind of our weekly catch-up call where we covered off all of the people who they had met with that week and to hear some real feedback other than maybe just a few gut reaction comments through email. So the client said, we really liked that candidate. They were referring to one specific person. We really liked that candidate. In fact, they're a far better fit for us than what I believed they would be just based on how their resume was. Wow. Did you catch that? The client believes the candidate is a far better fit than what the resume communicates. So imagine if you were that candidate expressing interest in an opportunity, applying for a job, but you weren't being represented by a recruiter who had heard your product story and actually went in verbally talking about you to a stakeholder, which ultimately resulted in the interview, which ultimately resulted now in this candidate advancing, okay? Because if it was based on your resume alone, you probably wouldn't have been selected for an interview. Isn't that interesting? I bring this up to you today because it's always enlightening when we hear feedback from a stakeholder who matters, because they are the person who's going to determine ultimately who gets interviewed and who doesn't. So whatever you as a candidate think about your resume, or no matter what I as a recruiter think about your resume, it is what the person with the power, the stakeholder, thinks about your resume. And so we've been producing and sharing a lot of content in the last couple of weeks about product resumes. We've been posting that on our Medium site, some of it on my page on LinkedIn, and then some of it in our product group. And we're actually going to be kind of pulling it all together into a more cohesive, this is the journey of resume writing, which we'll share with you shortly. But it's really important as product people to really take a point of view on your resumes, as this is the first product that your future boss is going to be engaging with that you've created, and that a recruiter is engaging with. And most recruiters, like we've already covered, don't understand product. That's why firms like ours who specialize in product get engaged. True story. So anyways, I hope that you find this little morsel of real world feedback interesting, and that it spurs you on to think about, hey, is my resume getting me the results that it is intended to get, which is engagement. A resume will never get someone a job, but it does spur on engagement, which is, hi, I'd like to talk with you. Hi, can you meet with us next week? Hi, we'd like to learn more. Hi, we're curious about your candidacy. It's all about engaging to the next step. And resumes, you don't have to be hung up on one resume for life, because a resume like a product is never done, and you're going to be continually iterating on that in the journey of your career. As markets change, sometimes it's an employer's market, sometimes it's a candidate's market, sometimes you've been ultra successful, other times, wow, you've really struggled. Sometimes you've had the chance to lead and mentor others, other times you've been the student. All of these things, right, contribute to a person's resume and how you communicate, what you communicate as part of your search. I hope this is helpful. If you have any comments about this, shoot me a message or include your comments below, or maybe it's above. I don't know how this presents. Heidi@ambassador.com. Have yourself an amazing day, and we'll see you in the next video.